everyone. Here we are at the Hockenheimring, ready for race 2. We're psyched to be here. It's a bit cloudy, but let's hope it's going to stay dry. We've got spectators, fans here everywhere, so we're super thrilled. And a man who's thrilled also probably is Calvin van der Linde, because you're leading the championship by 3 points. However, I read on Instagram that you said, let's try to survive. Why is that?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you know, these guys are hungry. The Mercedes boys and also Liam, he wants to get that championship lead back. So, you know, we're again the hunted ones, you know, so we're going to play that role today. We can't afford to take too much risk, obviously, and yeah, with the rain kind of on the radar, who knows? It's obviously tricky conditions for everyone.
But yesterday you managed from pole position to victory, so I'm sure you're going to try everything that's possible to maybe still repeat that.
That's the goal. That's always the goal, obviously. And if we can get 2 wins in a weekend, I can promise you we'll celebrate that one. But first, we've got to get that step. It's going to be important today. Obviously, we've got some weights in from the win yesterday, though it's important to keep in mind. So yeah, got to see how we do.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you so much. And now here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Hello, everybody. Chris Hartley here in the comms box, overlooking what's distinctly more overcast Hockenheim than we've enjoyed for the last couple of days, but still fairly warm at 19 degrees. There is this mild threat that might be some rain during the course of the race, but it's a bit touch and go. Right after qualifying on pole position with the very last throw of the dice on his last lap, almost the last driver home at the end of qualifying, Calvin van der Linde picked up 3 championship points this morning to move into a 3-point championship lead over Liam Lawson. Marco Wittmann didn't finish in the top 3, so he's further back once again, didn't score any points, and starting slightly higher than yesterday, but back in 10th place. So van der Linde is going to be on pole. Lucas Auer is going to be alongside just like yesterday, and Liam Lawson, second in the championship, will start in 3rd place, promoted to 3rd after Arjun Maini picks up a grid penalty after yesterday's incident for this race. More about that later, but back to Verena on the grid.
And I'm here with Liam Lawson, who's starting in P3, and there are only just a few points between you and the leader of the championship, so I guess your strategy is going to be full attack. Plus, I was eavesdropping a little bit while they had a conversation. I heard Liam has a lot of pace. Is that what the car feels like?
Yeah. Having a bit of a laugh there, mate. We have good pace, but not the same pace that they have this weekend. For, you know, to have a double pole, and the way he did it in quali, I'm pretty sure he only used half a new set of tyres, and he did it on his 3rd lap as well. So I think they've definitely got pace in hands. We need to focus on ourselves and grab as many points as we can. Obviously, the goal is to try and finish in front of him, but if we don't have the pace, we don't have it. So we'll try. The weather could play a part in today's race as well. So yeah, we need to make the right call at the right time, and hopefully, yeah, have a good race.
All right, well, best of luck, Liam. Thank you so much. And we will see if the weather is going to actually play a role in it. And I'm just a little bit confused. We need to see where Lucas Auer is, and he's somewhere over here because he's starting in P2. And so let's see what guys confusing us here, the colleagues. And so Lucas is already getting ready, but let's ask him. Lucas, starting in P2, and earlier in the qualifying, sorry, interrupting you, tying your shoes, you said that no matter what, you want to go for victory. So does that mean you're just going to ignore that this is about the championship, you're just going to go for victory?
Yeah, I think they won't ignore me, and I also won't ignore them. But for me, it's clear I want to go for the win, and so let's see how the first corner goes.
But it could be tricky being sandwiched between 2 of the competitors of the championship.
I think it's tricky for them that I'm in the middle of them, so I think it's more difficult for them.
All right. Well, best of luck for the race. Thank you so much. And for now, back to the commentator.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, I don't care, says Lucas. Just want to win the race. It's more for them to worry than for me, especially after yesterday's disappointment. Coming together on lap 1, turn 6, with Arjun Maini, who wrecked himself, went into Lucas Auer, took them both out of the race, and that's why Arjun had a brilliant qualifying this morning again, the Indian driver. 3rd quickest, but he's got a 5-place grid penalty, so he starts back on the 4th row of the grid. Liam Lawson qualified 4th. It promotes him to 3rd, but you don't get a championship point just because you're promoted to 3rd on the grid. It's still about where you qualified, and that's why he got this 3-point lead in the championship. Nico Muller, who retired yesterday after quite a bit of damage to the car, but it was a broken drive shaft in the end that dropped him out of the race. He got hit in turn 1, contacts with Arjun Maini. He was involved in the pileup that followed, that ensured the Arjun Maini coming together with Lucas Auer at turn 6, and then he got hit on the restart. Then he had a move that failed down the inside of Timo Glock, went into a spin, and then eventually it retired with a drive shaft failure. So not a lucky race yesterday for Nico. Let's see what he can do. Let's head back to Verena on the grid.
I've got Maxi Götz here with me, who's starting in P8. You're the third in the championship at the moment, or rather the fourth in the championship, but you've got the same amount of points as Wittmann. How tough is it? I mean, starting in P8, right in the middle of the field, how is that going to be in the race?
Now finally we are on P7, so because there was a penalty from the guys in front of us, but in the end P7 is one row behind yesterday, and it was tough already yesterday. Okay, I was profiting from the first incident in turn 6, so I gained some positions and we could finish the first lap on P2, which was nice, but in the end this we are not expecting today, to be honest. So in the end we have to fight for us and keep the momentum and try to make some places. In the end it's really tough also for Marco, he's behind, and we are struggling with the pace here in Hockenheim, and this is quite demanding, but we are looking now forward to have a good race.
And in regards to the weather, do you think that's going to maybe play into it?
I hope so.
Are you hoping for rain?
It will start quite heavily with rain, and then let's see. The conditions can turn quickly, and also the race. So in the end, it's we're hoping for rain a bit, to be honest.
But I think to get to the point, we will expect a very exciting race.
Yes, we push like from lap 1 on until the end. We saw some different strategies yesterday in the race, which are influencing the result quite heavily in the end. So let's see how the teams are prepared for today, and maybe there are some surprises.
Hopefully, it'll be more exciting for us.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Best of luck for the race, Maxi. And now back to you.
Thanks, Farina. Always great to hear from Maximilian Götz, who is always with a happy, positive, smiley demeanour, very personable character. Although I have to say, he was very stressed sounding on the radio yesterday when he was trying to defend what for a while was third position in the race, but fading brakes causing him real heartache. Can drop him back to 5th position in the end. Thereabouts, but not quite with that Mercedes, not quite on the pace. This man is though. Now, Mike Rockenfeller yesterday maybe having a big impact on the championship on the last half lap of the race, taking 3rd place away from his teammates, championship rival Liam Lawson, to get 3rd place finish here with just a few corners remaining. There were words exchanged between Liam Lawson and Mike Rockenfeller after the race. He was asked about it in the press conference, and bearing in mind that he speaks perfect English, Mike Rockenfeller said, I'm not sure what he said. My English isn't maybe that good, but I think he was congratulating me on an excellent overtaking manoeuvre, he said, twinkle in eye. And then he shrugged his shoulders and smiled and said, what do you want me to say? He was not happy with me. But then again, I wasn't happy with him at the Nürburgring, and maybe, I remembered that at the time. So it was a bit of a robust move, but fair, and it wasn't... in terms of the stewards even looked at, I don't think, at the end of the race. So no penalties or anything like that there. And also Mike Rockenfeller had taken the opportunity in the press conference yesterday to announce that this will be his last season with Audi in the DTM. So the 2013 champion, he's been with Audi for 15 years. There's a great stretch in the championship. Doesn't see his future with Audi in DTM. He wouldn't rule out coming back to DTM, but he said there's a good chance he won't be on the grid next year, but I'm not entirely ruling it out, but it won't be with Audi. Don't see my future there. He did express an interest in returning the Formula Le Mans winner to concentrating on endurance racing. So, championship contenders. Well, we know about the 4 big ones: Kelvin van der Linde, Liam Lawson, Marco Wittmann and Maxi Götz. Only 26 points between them. But there are still a couple that mathematically could win it. Lucas Auer, I'm afraid, out of the running after yesterday's DNF. But Alex Albon up to 5th in the championship after a great drive to 2nd yesterday. He's 69 points behind. He needs to be within 56 points of the championship leader at the end of the weekend to still be in contention going into the Norris Ring. Philip Ellis is 6th in the championship. He's 76 points adrift. He has to be within 56 as well. So for Ellis to stay in the championship, he has to win the race. And for van der Linde to finish 8th or lower, and Lawson to finish 7th or lower. So it's stretching it a bit, but from 11th on the grid, Philip Ellis is a very quick starter. He's going to try and do something to stay in contention. Alex Albon needs to win the race with van der Linde 4th or lower and Lawson 3rd or lower. But even then, he would only tie on points with them if they failed to score at the Norris Ring, and he'd then need to match them in terms of more wins, more seconds, etc. Right, the team standings. Red Bull AF Corsa ahead of Team AB Sportsline. Whatever happens, Team AB Sportsline will stay in contention even if they don't score, and Red Bull AF Corsa score maximum points going into the Norris Ring. But it could be down to 2 teams. We'll find out very shortly. Welcome to Hockenheim, our location for the penultimate weekend of what's been a terrific 2021 season in the DTM. It's one of the most famous high-speed arenas in the world, but it's set just outside a relatively small and peaceful town, Hockenheim. There's some interesting historic architecture to be found, including the Baroque style of one church from the turn of the last century, the Art Nouveau style of another, which is more than 200 years old. The town has just over 22,000 inhabitants. It's on the edge of part of the River Rhine, and the surrounding area is one of the countryside and agriculture. But close by to the autumn harvesting, we find the Hockenheimring, first built in 1932, reshaped, shortened, redesigned over the years, and an ever-present part of the calendar. Let's see what the 99th DTM race at Hockenheim has in store. Thrilling racing yesterday, edge of your seat stuff, and it was great to watch, and this is how it is going to shape up. It's the same front row as yesterday, but with weight swapped around, because it's the top three from yesterday's race that carry the success ballast. So Kelvin van der Linde qualified on pole, but he now has 25 kilograms of success ballast on board. Lucas Auer, who starts on the front row, well, yesterday he had 25 kilograms on board, not that he got far in the race, but today he has 0 success ballast on the car. So that's your front two. Liam Lawson starting in 3rd place. The only benefit of being bumped out of the top 3 yesterday, right at the end of the race, was that he lost success ballast. So 4th place he finished yesterday, and he will have 0 weight on the Ferrari. Daniel Hankadea promoted up to 4th place after Arjun Maini got this 5-place grid penalty for yesterday. Alex Albon will have weight on the car as well, 18 kilograms for finishing 2nd. He starts 5th. Mike Rockenfeller starting in 6th place, qualified 7th, promoted to 6th. They'll have 15 kilograms of success ballast on board. Mike Rockenfeller with a different strategy in qualifying this morning. As the others were coming into the pits halfway through the session, that was when he set his lap times, but he only had 1 run at it. He got himself onto provisional pole position, but then didn't go out for the remaining 7 or 8 minutes of the session, and everybody got quicker because the track was getting quicker and quicker, even though it was nowhere near as quick as the lap times we had yesterday. So Rocky starts 6th. Max Gotts is starting in 7th place, and with the 5-place grid penalty, Arjun Maini starts 8th, Vincent Abril 9th, and Marco Wittmann, who will be doing a rain dance, starts in 10th place, because you get the sense that's the only realistic chance he's got. The car is just so far not performing here at the circuit. Remember, it's a 1-car entry for Team Valkenhorst. AF Corsa and AB Sportsline lead the team standings. However, it's very much a case of Team Windward having to close the gap by a few points to stay in the team's championship. HRT are 4th. And hats off to Valkenhorst. They are 5th in the championship, despite the fact they've only got 1 car that can score points. For the team's championship, it is normally the top 2 from your team that score points. Mercedes lead the manufacturer standings. They've got 455 points. That's a 131-point advantage over Audi. And after this race, there'll only be 98 points still available. So Audi have to close the gap significantly in this race. Otherwise, Mercedes could wrap up the Manufacturers' Championship with a weekend to spare. Ferrari in 3rd place, BMW 4th, Lamborghini in 5th position. So there, an update on the points. Do our very best to keep on top of the live spreadsheet. And the points, as we go through the race, things are going to change. And it starts to get a bit edgy now with just over a minute to go, because remember, it's only 3 points at the top of the championship, and 3rd and 4th, Wittmann and Gotts, are only 26 points behind. And you've still got 56 points available at the Norris Ring, plus 25 points available in this race, so 81 points still available. However, if you have a DNF and one of those rivals bangs in 25 points here today, that completely changes things with only 2 races to go. So if Lawson or van der Linde win the race and one of them has a DNF, suddenly you're facing a possible 20-odd point gap going into the final weekend of the season. Wittmann and Gotts are 26 points behind. If van der Linde or Lawson win the race and one of them has a DNF, suddenly they could be around about 50 points behind, depending on the results. So it could be as many as 51 behind with only 56 to go. So they're all going to go, all the top 4 are definitely going to go mathematically into the final round with a chance, but it could become a very, very slim chance if there's not an upturn for Marco Wittmann and for Maxi Gotts in terms of points scored here in this crucial race. Here we go then, 10-second countdown until the cars are released out onto the formation lap. 55 minutes plus 1 lap is the race distance. As ever, that can be extended to an additional 2 laps, to laps lost behind a safety car. which has happened a few times, it has to be said, of late. Certainly happened yesterday after what was a very robust first lap of the race. So the cars head off around this 4.6 kilometre long circuit here at Hockenheim, with its mix of very tight right-angled corners with little runoff area. It's big braking zone into the Spitzkehre, the hairpin at turn 6, where there's always overtaking, but also it's all about the traction out of the corner. We saw overtakes yesterday from Mike Rockenfeller on new tyres. Was able to get much better traction coming out of the corner in the last 15 minutes, having pitted later than everybody else. And that run up to turn 7 could be pretty thrilling as well. And you've got the Parabolica, which is coming up on this formation lap. It's very, very quick left-hander, where they get up to 270 kilometres an hour. The circuit was first built in 1932. It was the brainchild of a local timekeeper, Ernst Christ, and it was originally 12 kilometres long. It then got reduced to still pretty lengthy 6.8 kilometres in the 1960s. And for a long time was famous for its long, long straights out into the forest and its immense speeds that tested the engines, the bravery of the drivers as they braked into the heavy chicane areas, and also as a big fuel burner. Quite often you'd see 1980s turbo-powered Formula 1 cars running out of fuel around Hockenheim, but it was redesigned around about 20 years ago in 2002. It was a much shorter version of the circuit, compact but still really challenging. Huge grandstands all around that can host up to 120,000 people. So 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing coming up. 1 mandatory pit stop where everybody has to change tyres. Wet tyres admitted, it says on the screen. Not that anybody will be using them yet, but that's just an insight into the fact that there is a possibility that we might get some rain in the race. Does that affect your strategy if the rain may be coming soon? You don't want to pit, change tyres, and have to pit again for wet tyres. But if you leave it too long, like Kelvin van der Linde did at Assen, it's a risk. Because if you pit late, the safety car comes out, you lose your advantage, and you've still got to make your pit stop. All to worry about on windscreen wiper just briefly coming on there, 1 or 2 of the cars, which is a bit of a worry. There were a few spots of rain right at the end of qualifying this morning, so it's a bit touch and go, but it's absolutely slick tyres at the moment, even though there are 1 or 2 spots of rain in the air. Kelvin van der Linde then in the number 3 Abt Sportsline Audi. He is on pole position, first driver this season to get pole position in both qualifying sessions in a weekend, and Lucas Auer alongside. Chris Hartley then trackside to talk you through round 14 of DTM 2021. All eyes fixed on the gantry and the start to the race. Lawson and Hockenheim on road 2, waiting to pounce. Red lights go out, race gets underway, and we're in action here at Hockenheim. Good start for van der Linde. Lucas Auer trying to go around the outside. Holding on to 3rd at the moment is the Ferrari of Liam Lawson. Daniel Hockenheim had a great start yesterday, not quite so good today. Stays in 4th place, and a challenge for the lead of the race as Lucas Auer gets down the inside of van der Linde into turn 2. Can he hold it though? Runs a bit deep, bit wide into the corner. Yes, he does. The Mercedes through into the lead. No change for 3rd or 4th. Hockenheim making up some ground after this penalty, has gained 2 places, like in the white, orange and green Mercedes, run by Team Get Speed. He's gone up to 6th place, and Philip Ellis is on one of his traditional first lap charges in the blue and white Winward Mercedes. His teammate leads the way though, down into the hairpin. This is where it all kicked off yesterday. Liam Lawson trying to go around the outside of Kelvin van der Linde. Mike Rockenfeller trying to go around the outside of Hockenheim. Just behind, it's Lucas Auer that leads it side by side for 2nd, but the Ferrari has got through on the exit, and Liam Lawson has made it into 2nd place. And way out wide goes Mike Rockenfeller, keeps his foot in though, has got the inside line as they break for the left-hander at turn 8, and he gets ahead of Daniel Hockenheim and up in a 4th place. So one Abt Sportsline Audi goes backwards, the other goes forwards. In between them, sandwiched is the Ferrari of Liam Lawson, but look at Lucas Auer go. Now remember, 25 kilograms of success ballast today on Kelvin van der Linde's car. He reckoned yesterday that was going to be about 0.3 of a second it would cost per lap. So it will have an effect. You can see the spots of rain on the cameras there. Sheldon van der Linde trying to come through just behind him, his teammate, the number 16 yellow and white BMW of Timo Glock trying to come through after getting in the points yesterday. All in the midfield, which is all tightly packed, but it's been a much better first lap today than it was yesterday. Much cleaner, all they come through. Lucas Auer with a 1.1 second lead over Kelvin van der Linde on this first lap of the race. Liam Lawson 3rd White Rockenfeller 4th, Daniel Hockenheim in 5th place, Arjun Maini 6th, Maximilian Gutz in 7th, Marco Wittmann has made up 2 places into 8th, and Philip Ellis, another good start with 2 places gained up to 9th position. And then in 10th place, Alex Albon, the last of the point scorers, has slipped back a little bit with Esteban Moot for company in the Lamborghini, although he's about a length or so back as you go on board with Liam Lawson, second in the championship, breathing down the neck of the championship leader, who's lost back that position and gets him back then. Slingshots down the inside into the hairpin. But he get the place back though. Contact on the way out of the turn. The Audi fights back. Nose to nose going into the right-hander at turn 7. They're going to keep swapping positions, these two. One is stronger in some areas, the other in other parts of the track. But Lawson gets back through into second, more contact. Sent wide into the corner and through down the inside goes Kelvin van der Linde. The championship leader moves ahead of his big rival for the season. And they've already exchanged positions 2 or 3 times, but it's van der Linde back up front. That gives Lucas Auer a huge advantage now at the front of the field. Mike Rockenfeller just behind, watching it all go on, teammate to Kelvin van der Linde. Can he get involved? Can he have an effect on the outcome of the race results and maybe the championship? We shall see. And then the 2-pick Mercedes just behind. Hockenheim and Gotts and Liam Lawson having another look at the inside on the way into turn 16. Don't really overtake there, he's just showing his nose. We've got a boxing match on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. They are rolling their sleeves up. The Audi's got more success ballast on board than anybody else. Liam Lawson, no success ballast on board. And just behind, look at this, Nico Muller down the inside of Alex Albon. That's a brave move on the way into turn 1. The Audi makes it stick. The Rosberg driver is through. And Alex Albon is therefore demoted out of the points now, down to 11th place. Comes back at Nico Muller, though, on the way into the next braking zone at turn 2. But Nico has got it covered off. He's desperate to try and score some points after a miserable few months. Oh, talk about a miserable few months. More desperately bad luck for Sheldon van der Linde. If it can go wrong, it does go wrong at the moment for the 21-year-old South African. Now here, side by side, after van der Linde briefly got his nose back in front of Liam Lawson. Contact 2 or 3 times, not just at this corner. And there's a proper roll your sleeves up, brutal fight going on here. Tagging the back of the Ferrari, Kelvin van der Linde. Great recovery from Liam Lawson. And then they go through the gravel trap for Sheldon van der Linde, who we've seen headed for the pits. So was it possibly a problem with the engine, smoking, that with perhaps fluid dropping, sent him into the gravel trap maybe in the first place? We'll find out. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's more about like it's a puncture rather than a smoke from the engine. So right rear puncture. And I would suspect that's what sent him into the gravel trap in the first place. Probably from contact, but not definitely from contact earlier in the race. Puncture at Spielberg as well. Broken wheel at the Nürburgring the weekend before that. Just been disastrous bad luck. Tales of woe, I'm afraid, for Sheldon van der Linde. And Max Gott's up to 5th place this time through, ahead of Daniel Hockenheim. So they've switched around, and Gotts is making up some ground here. 2.7 seconds clear for Lucas Auer. Kelvin van der Linde starting to stretch away from Liam Lawson a little bit now by 0.8 of a second after their proper scrap in the first few laps of the race. And this is how he did it, down the inside into the hairpin, the most obvious place to overtake around the lap. And this is how it looked on board with Maximilian Gutz. That's straight down the inside. He knows he's got to grab as many points as he can here. He's made a pretty good start to the race, though. So too Marco Wittmann, up to 8th position. Gradually getting better and better, the BMW, but it started with a very low baseline on Friday. They really did struggle.
On the top speed, they're pulling away. Copy, let's hang in there.
No top speed, said Marco Wittmann, a double champion. They're pulling away from me on the straights, and I can't get to them. Basically on the hairpins is what he's saying. Hang in there, says his race engineer. So Lucas Auer leads, Kelvin van der Linde 2nd, Liam Lawson 3rd, Mike Rockenfeller 4th, Maximilian Gotts up to 5th as we've seen, Daniel Hockenheim 6th, Arjun Maini 7th, Marco Wittmann 8th, Philip Ellis 9th, Nico Muller after that move on Alex Albon up to 10th place. Timo Glock, Esteban Moot just behind, 12th and 13th positions. We lost 1 car so far, which is the unlucky Sheldon van der Linde. So 20 cars remain in the race. It's a long, long way to go. Incident under investigation between van der Linde and Lawson. We'll keep an eye on that for pushing into the car. So car 3 Van der Linde the one that's under investigation. That was Esteban Moot down the inside of Vincent Abril, and Sophia Florsch down the inside of Esme Hawkey. Contact between the two of them. There was contact between the two of them and Assen as well, with damaged cars, and with Esme having been in the gravel trap as a result of the contact. They both, in the end, managed to score points, but it's caused too much damage to Sophia Florsch's cars. That's one of the 4 Sportsline Audis out of the race. Pretty good day yesterday for Sophia, up in 13th place, but this race does not last long. She is the 2nd retirement, and out she goes with Esme Hawkey's Lamborghini. Carry any damage from that contact? We'll wait and find out. In the background, more side-by-side action on the way down into the hairpin, and a place lost there from Esteban Moot. That's Marvin Dinks that got down the inside of him in the Mooka Motorsport black and white Mercedes. And they are still side-by-side because, as I said, all about traction coming out of the corner. It's no good just being quick into the hairpin, you've got to be quick out of it. So Esteban Moot will not give the place up easily, as Alex Albon now, with the weight on the car, struggling much more than he was yesterday, has got Timo Glock in the Rover Racing BMW running alongside, running out wide, running off the circuit, getting back on the circuit, still running absolutely side by side as they thunder right past the wall, right underneath the static camera, and come through. But Alex in the background has been able to fend him off just about. Philip Ellis coming through, number 57 in 9th, and in 10th place there, the orange, black and silver Team Rosberg Audi of Nico Muller. Replay of the start then, and pretty good start from Van der Linde, really good start again from Lucas Auer, but it was all neat and tidy, wasn't it? There was Dev Gore having a bit of contact with Marvin Dinks on the way through turn 1, but it was nothing like as ferocious as it was yesterday. And we got our first pit stoppers, including Maximilian Gotz, Alex Albon and Esteban Moot. And it's a good stop again from HRT. They're the best stop on Friday, 6.53 seconds. They've been really good at the stops this weekend. If you have a really good stop like that, 28, 29 seconds for in, stop and out. So that's the sort of advantage you need over drivers that haven't made a pit stop. But the leading pit stopper, as he should be, is Maximilian Gotz. He has definitely extended his advantage.
The 5 seconds penalty for your information, and he did not beat yet. So keep pushing, keep pushing.
Van der Linde, as you heard, 5-second time penalty for pushing another car. Replay of Maximilian Gotz just having to pause as he came out. Esteban Moot was coming into the T3 Motorsport pits. It was only a fraction, but fractions count in DTM. It was close, but the team did well to avoid any serious incident there. And there on screen, you can see confirmation. 5-second penalty for the championship leader for pushing another car. So 5 seconds will be added onto his race time. If he wins the race by 5.001 seconds, he'll still win the race. But now the task becomes even harder, as Liam Lawson dives into the pits out wide, coming into the final turn at Sudcurve, was the race leader as well, perhaps struggling with the weight of the car already. But Lawson comes in. First of the championship top 2 to come in. We've already had Maximilian Gotz in. He's the one to watch. So 6.5 seconds was his pit stop time. AF Corsa have been very good at their stops as well. What's it going to be? It's a crucial pit stop this for the team. The Italians get the New Zealander out. 8.21 seconds. So that's 1.7 seconds slower than Gotz. Gotz in the background. You can just see the top of the pink Mercedes flashing through the final turn. Gotz goes over the line in front of the commentary box, coming out of the pit lane now at turn 1, but going into turn 1 is Maximilian Gotz for the net lead. So they're going to be side by side. Gotz might just have the upper hand though, as Nico Muller comes in to make his stop as well. Having made pretty good progress. Nico's earliest stop for some time. He's been doing lots of late stops of the last couple of rounds.
Easy on the first lap. So far we are quite far back, but so far only 4 cars had stopped when I see it.
Muller released then, looking for only his 2nd points finish in the last 6 races, and Lawson just got out in front of Gotz. Look, I thought Gotz might have had him cut away to Nico Muller in the pits, but it must have been very, very close. And Lawson still getting tyres up to temperature, but he's got enough in hand here, even if Gotz closes up the gap a little bit. Lawson is the leading pit stopper. You'd have expected to come out in front of Maximilian Gotz, but he did lose, certainly stationary time, 1.7 seconds. HRT did a good job. There we go then. In comes Kelvin van der Linde into the pit. So Lucas Auer's coming as well. So Lucas Auer and Kelvin van der Linde in top 2. You sense that's Van der Linde reacting to Liam Lawson, not wanting to risk anything with a late pit stop. Obviously, you don't fear rain at the moment, looking at the satellites and radars as there will be. Well, this is a slower time.
You can go whenever the car is down.
Hour, 7.79 seconds, but 10 seconds stop for Kelvin van der Linde. Not what they wanted at all. Liam Lawson over the start-finish line.
Start-finish line now.
Here's Hour to the left of your picture, rejoining.
It's in turn 1 now.
And there's Liam Lawson to get the net lead of the race. Exactly what he needed to do. So Liam Lawson is your net leader. Gets ahead. Oh no, Kelvin van der Linde, that is. So we've still got Lucas Hour up front. But 5 seconds, remember, being added onto the time of Kelvin van der Linde, and he's not 5 seconds in front of Maximilian Götz, is he? Not even half a second. So it's side by side, tyres up to temperature for Maximilian Götz into the parabolic. He was on the outside for the hairpin, but he's through before they get anywhere near the braking zone. And Kelvin van der Linde has dropped to 4th, effectively, behind Auer, Lawson and Götz. But warning flag for Liam Lawson for track limits. He has to be careful now. They'll all be watching this. Any one moment of madness, one mistake, one piece of bad luck can swing the championship in this last 7 days of DTM 2021. So Lucas Auer out front. Mike Rockenfeller, in terms of the pit stoppers, Mike Rockenfeller will pick up the overall lead. So what's his strategy going to be? Maybe want to do something similar to yesterday, because that worked. Pitting with just 15 minutes to go, using those new tyres to charge through and pick up several positions in the closing laps and pick up a podium finish. There's Lucas Auer. And I reckon his advantage has grown, hasn't it? Yeah, it certainly has. I was way out of the picture when they all came out of the pits. Lawson in front of van der Linde was the big one. So over the line they go. And Lucas Auer, 12th overall, but he's the leading pit stopper. Is well clear of Liam Lawson at about 4 seconds. So there he is, looking good after the disappointments of yesterday. What an up and down few races. Wins race 2 at Assen, gets on the front row, but then gets wiped out of contention early on in the first race at Hockenheim, and now he's back into the lead. Talk about the highs and lows of motorsport. So there's your net leader, Lucas Auer. But in the background, critically, best of the championship contenders is Liam Lawson, the Ferrari, just come into your shot now. He's second, and Götz going for it, and ahead of Kelvin van der Linde as well. Although pretty close together as it went at the start of the lap, Max Götz just about there as well. And van der Linde starting to maybe get those tyres up to temperature, slightly fresher tyres, but again the wear is going to be heavier with the 25 kilograms on board. That will affect him later on in the race more than anybody else in terms of tyre degradation. So I always knew this was going to be a tough race. Just doesn't want to concede as too many points to Liam Lawson or to Maximilian Götz, who looks set to move up to 3rd place in the championship as Philip Ellis comes in now. Remember, needing to win and other results to go his way just to stay in contention. Alex Albon needs to win as well, really, to keep himself in the fight. Otherwise, we will be down to 4 mathematically for the championship finale at Norris Ring. So there's Mike Rockenfeller, number 9. He leads the race. Behind him, but not by much, is Daniel Hankadeo, the Spaniard. Fans celebrating their birthday here, and he got birthday streamers all over the car, sending them messages. So the Spaniard, very popular as ever. 2 wins here en route to the Formula 3 Euro Series. Back in his single-seater days, so knows the taste of being on the top step of the podium at Hockenheim. He's pushing on. Arjun Meiney is in 3rd place. Marco Wittmann is in 4th. Timo Glock is in 5th. And Marvin Dienst in 6th place as the rocket-backed Lamborghini of Esme Orki looks to gain a place, does gain a place. Nice move that, down the inside of Dev Gore for the time being up into 10th place. Still with pit stops to be made, though, for those front runners as it stands. So the top 11 still to make their pit stops. In fact, top 10 now, because Philip Ellis, although still shown on the screen in 6th, has made his stop. But he crossed the timing being on the other side of the pit wall. And van der Linde maybe just starting to come back into this with the fight with Maximilian Götz now. 38 minutes left on the clock. Sparks fly as he runs out over the curbs in the HRT Mercedes. The Bavarian will be looking forward to his Well, classes his home race at Nuremberg next weekend goes through. One of the few drivers with experience of the Norris Ring. Kelvin van der Linde said yesterday at the end of the race, yeah, I've been to the Norris Ring before, but it was when I was racing in the VW Sirocco Cup back in 2013. The year he's now teammate. Mike Rockenfeller won the DTM. This has been round there before, but it's a real unknown quantity. Hasn't been a GT car race around that street circuit for a very, very long time. Those that have been there before will have been there in different machinery. So it's an unknown factor. Suggestion that maybe the short wheelbase Audi will be nimble through the tight turns of the Norris Ring, but Kelvin van der Linde says there's a big straight there as well, and that is not necessarily our strength with the car. So we'll see how it all pans out. It's going to be absolutely critical. Lucas Hauer's got down the inside of Dev Gore to gain a place. Incident between Esme Hawkey and Sophia Florsch under investigation and will be reported to the stewards. And there Kelvin van der Linde getting ever closer now to the tail of Maximilian Götz. So Götz with his mirrors full, not for the first time this weekend, but it's Kelvin van der Linde that he has to keep an eye on this time. Lucas Hauer is the net leader. Liam Lawson, the second best of the pit stoppers, and these two, third and fourth. And we saw the difference it can make between third and fourth yesterday in terms of the championship. It's only 3 points difference, but that 3 points difference, the 3 points lost in the closing seconds for Liam Lawson, costed the championship lead. However, if he finishes ahead of Kelvin van der Linde and it stays like this, he's going to score 18 points. Kelvin currently in fourth, net fourth, would score 12, and the 3 point swing would go the other way. 3 points advantage to Liam Lawson with a weekend to go. Black and white for several other drivers. Mike Rockenfeller for track limits, and now also for Philip Ellis, who's rejoined behind Alex Albon after his pit stop in 16th place. Right, Esme Hawkey coming up to be overtaken, possibly in the next lap, by the net leader Lucas Hauer in the 22 Mercedes. So there, Liam Lawson with the upper hand at the moment. But what can Max Götz do to fend off Kelvin van der Linde, who's fighting for his own championship status here? Marco Wittmann, well, he's in the points at the moment, but he hasn't made his pit stop yet. So down the inside into the hairpin goes Lucas Hauer, sensibly so, because she's not really racing it at this stage. Esme Hawkey gives him room and respect. We had testing last week, a very busy open test day, just to get a sense of driving the car around Hockenheim. She continues to learn all the circuits on the DTM calendar. Doing a good job, given that they had an issue with the car which put her out of all of free practice one on Friday. Valuable time lost. See if she can get up towards the points with a good strategy here. 2 cars out. Question mark over the car whether it's carrying any damage after the contact with Sophia Florsch, which is being investigated after the race. Has been reported to the stewards. Sophia out though with damage to her car. Way out wide go both Maximilian Götz and Kelvin van der Linde. And in the background, Alex Albon. Now, what's his lap time like compared to these two? It's quicker. Now, this is what we saw yesterday. Alex Albon really started to fly once he changed his tyres relative to everybody else. He's not going to be by as much today because, of course, he's got a heavy car with 18 kilograms of success ballast on board. But even so, Lucas Hauer just set the absolute best middle sector of the race, having been released through some of the traffic. So he's up to 8th place overall. He's the net leader. The overall leader on track is Mike Rockenfeller. He's only 17 seconds clear of Lucas Hauer, and it's going to take you around about 30 seconds to make your pit stop. Just adhering to the pit lane speed limit all the way in and out, and the stationary time to replace all 4 Michelin tyres. Back on board with Kelvin van der Linde. There's always this question about what to do, because if you go for an overtake, it's always a risk. You are gambling your 12 championship points. Oh, he's going to take the gamble. He looks down the inside, gets fully alongside. Max Götz will carry this speed around the outside. Götz with his nose in front. Van der Linde tucks back in behind on the run to turn 7. But showing his intent here, the championship leader. Looks to the inside again, shows his nose. He is feisty. He is fighting for every single point. They all count. That's his strategy, positivity. But it's always a risk. You go for a move and it doesn't pay off, and suddenly you're in the gravel trap. Damage to the car, no points. would you have been better off settling for the 12 points? That's the cautious approach. The positive approach, which Kelvin van der Linde looks like he's all set to take, is I don't want 12 points, I want 15. I don't want to get to the end of the season, lose by a few points and wonder what if I'd just had a go, just tried to overtake Maximilian Gutz in the race. So you can see his strategy. It is not one of defence, it's one of attack. He's trying to defend the points lead, but attack in the race. Dev Gora's headed into the pits and the team Rosberg Audi to make his stops. That'll be both Rosberg Audis having made their stops now. And Rockefeller, Hunkerdale, Mining, your top three. Wittmann in fourth, Glock in fifth, Abril sixth, Lucas Auer, the realistic leader, the virtual leader with the pit stop now complete, is seventh. And again, Kelvin van der Linde all over the back of Maximilian Gutz. Like an angry rash, but Gutz is not going to give the place up. Needs to try and outscore the man that is behind him. Warning flag for track limits, Resby Hawking. Join the list, join the party. Van der Linde a little bit too far back on the way into the corner, but he'll try the traction trick coming out of the corner. And if he can get past Gutz, he can see just ahead of him, guess who? Liam Lawson will be in his mind as well. It's already shown that he's prepared to roll his sleeves up. Stony silence inside the cockpit of Maximilian Gutz. He's busy. He's concentrating 1000% at the moment on his lines, on his braking points. Being attacked, but also trying to attack the car in front. Now, last time around, Liam Lawson did a 140.69, 145 for Gutz, and a 144 for van der Linde. So not by much, but they are catching Liam Lawson. Nobody seems to be catching this man, though. Lucas Auer, 139.7, quickest man on the track. Second quickest man on the track is Kelvin van der Linde. They're the only two drivers. Oh, there's one other, I think, that's in the 139s. Liam Lawson just into the 139s as well, but everybody else in the 1 minute 40s. Esme Hawkey now comes into the pits from inside the top 10. Make her mandatory pit stop for T3 Motorsport. New team, and one of the new teams to DTM this year. So there is Liam Lawson, a net second, but leading in terms of the championship fight here. Equal third in the championship, the pink number 4 Mercedes of Maximilian Gutz, and then Kelvin van der Linde in the black, silver and red Audi of AB Sportsline, the championship leader, getting ever closer to the tail of the German in front of him. And you can see how the gap has grown gradually between Lucas Auer and Liam Lawson over the last half dozen laps. Well, for now, Gutz has got this covered. But we know he definitely began to fade. The car faded away in the last 20 minutes of the race yesterday. They've been able to tweak the setup, so it's a bit better. Of course, the track is different. I would tell you it's a little bit brighter as well out there now. The sun is almost trying to creep through the clouds. It's still overcast, but it's brightened up. It's certainly not looking like rain at the moment. Into the final half hour of the race, plus 1 lap to go. On board with Kelvin van der Linde. This will become the fight for third place once all the pit stops are made, and Daniel Hunkerdale is coming to the pits now from third place. So Hunkerdale coming in, there he is. So it's Rockefeller, Mining and Wittmann, the top three now, all still to make their pit stops. Clock next up in then you've got Lucas Auer, and that was a good stop again. Group M, the Hong Kong based team, plenty of GT experience, but their first championship season in DTM as well.
Albon and Ellis just going past pit exit now.
It's going to be just behind Philip Ellis when he rejoins. He can't cut across that white line, frustratingly for him. So has to wait to rejoin the circuit proper and tucks back in behind Philip Ellis. The other way around yesterday, Philip had a pretty good pit stop stationary time, but had to wait to let him out. He almost leapfrogged Liam Lawson, had to wait for Liam to come through to avoid an unsafe release, and then 2 laps later, Hunkerdale made his stop and came out just in front of Philip, and Philip then got stuck behind him, and that wore his tyres. Now Liam Lawson trying to get past Lucas de Grassi coming out of the hairpin. Now Lucas in the 37 car, former Formula E champion, making his DTM debut, be out in action next weekend as well. He's one of the ABS drivers, and teammate this weekend to number 3, Kelvin van der Linde. Part of the reason for the desperation to get past Maximilian Gutz is this 5-second time penalty hanging over Kelvin van der Linde. He wants to get past Gotts and pull away from him, because the 5 seconds could cost him. And what he absolutely is praying does not happen in this race, Kelvin van der Linde, is a safety car. Because if they're all bunched up behind him, well, 5 seconds can cost you potentially no places. Lawson through on Di Grassi. Can cost you no places, can cost you a couple of places. But if the safety car bunches them all up, particularly at the end of the race, and they're all on his tail, it could cost him a load of places. So he doesn't need that, he really doesn't. Marty comes into the pits now from 2nd place, there he is, and Vincent Labralien as well. Well, Rocky looking like he's going to do what he did yesterday, and well, who would blame him after the result that he had? Going long, maybe the longest, he's still out there. 6.23 seconds, excellent stop from HRT. Very good stop for Gotts, but that's even better. Gotts was 6.5, Abril 6.2. Kelvin van der Linde needs to get past, and he needs to pull away. Because effectively, yes, he's right on the tail of Maximilian Gotts, but he's 5 seconds behind him with this penalty added on at the end of the race. He knows it, he carries the car, all the extra weight on the car, in deep into the hairpin, runs a bit wide, gets back on the accelerator, but that's more weight to drag out of the corner as well, and you can see the effect that it is having on the Audi, which up until this point has been flying. But that's the point of success ballast, to even things back out. The cost of success and of winning. Philip Ellis ahead of Alex Albon now, with Daniel Hungardere in the background. So Ellis up to 11th place overall. Not that far behind this group. And he's certainly within 5 seconds of Kelvin van der Linde, which means he gains a place on him once the time penalty comes into it. So he's a net 4th, really, Philip Ellis. More reason for Kelvin van der Linde to try and find a way past Maximilian Gotts. Plus, he's bringing with him Alex Albon, and he's bringing also with him Daniel Hungardere. So if the 3 of them get within 5 seconds of Kelvin van der Linde, they don't even have to overtake him. They'll all move ahead of him. He'll lose 3 places at least. Stressful times. Lucas Di Grassi in front. Can he have a part to play here? Maximilian Gotts will have a heart-sinking moment when he realises it's an AB Sportsline Audi ahead of him. And Kelvin van der Linde will be hoping that this creates an opportunity. Mercedes running through, and oh dear, bad day for Esteban Mu to get out of the T3 Motorsport car, and becomes our 3rd retiree. In fairness, the reliability record at T3 Motorsport has been excellent. Lucas Auer continuing to make progress. He's moved ahead of Timo Glock for 3rd on the road. And Maximilian Gotts sends one down the inside of Di Grassi. Has to run all onto the curbs, though. Kelvin van der Linde tucks in behind. Di Grassi is surely just going to get off the gas here. Yes, he does. Lets his teammate through. That's the way to do it. He likes it. Through the inside he went, and just about got the car stopped in time. Gotts gives himself another half-length advantage, but you get the sense that Kelvin van der Linde is going to come back at him. But it's to no avail when you got a 5-second penalty. Way out wide on the exit to Webber 1 curve at turn 12. Goes the Mercedes as the BMW of Marco Wittmann comes in from 2nd place.
TC off, PSL off.
So that just leaves Rockenfeller and Glock to make their pit stops now. Glock will move back into a top 3 position, but only for now, and so he's got his pit stop done. Volkenhorst trying to salvage some points out of today, some points out of the weekend. Lucas Di Grassi into the pits as well. And out goes Marco Wittmann. Not a great pit stop though, 11.88 seconds. Exactly what he didn't need. Really frustrating weekend for him. It's Marvin Deeps coming through, so he's going to be well out of the points. So too is Di Grassi when he rejoins. That'll be a place gained for Nico Muller, who's just gone over the start-finish line. On board with van der Linde.
Don't forget van der Linde as a penalty. Bring it to the end like that. I think it's perfect if we can save your tyres.
Liam Lawson to Max Gotts is 2.7 seconds, the gap. Keep an eye on that, because Gotts, having just freed himself a little bit of that battle with Kelvin van der Linde, might just get his head down now to try to do something about catching Liam Lawson. He needs to pull points in. He's got the championship leader behind him and with the penalty, but he knows that Liam Lawson could become the championship leader, so he could do it taking points away from him as well to give himself a chance, a realistic chance, going into the final weekend at the Norris Ring. So it's going to be all attack now for Maximilian Götz. There is Liam Lawson in the Ferrari. Big moment, a huge tank slapper for Philip Ellis in the background. He got very wide coming out through turn 12 and just kissed the gravel with the left rear tyre. Survived, trying to keep his championship hopes alive, but looking slim. Thea and Albon stay where they are, with Lawson and van der Linde where they are. It's going to be mathematically just the four that can win the championship at the Norris Ring. Timo Glock comes into the pits, so Mike Rockenfeller stays out. Probably, if he's going to follow yesterday's pattern, will be out until about 15 or 16 minutes to go in the race. Then he'll give himself time to use the new tyres. So that puts Lucas Auer, who's the leading pit stopper, already up to second place now. He's only 10 seconds behind Rockenfeller, so we will pick up the lead of the race once again, as Liam Lawson is a tenth quicker through sector 1 on this lap than Maximilian Götz. So the gap grows slightly at the start of this lap, hovering around the 2.5 second mark. But here's trouble for Kelvin van der Linde, because he's a net fourth at the moment. However, Philip Ellis is 1.1 seconds behind, Daniel Hungadere is 1.6 seconds behind, and 3.1 seconds behind Alex Albon. And Arjun Mainy's almost within that 5-second bracket as well. So as it stands, he's going to lose 3 places. It's soon going to be 4 though, because the 4 of them, including Arjun Maini, are going to be within 5 seconds of van der Linde. So he's on course to drop from 4th to 8th with this penalty, unless he can find a way past Maximilian Götz, which looks increasingly unlikely, and then pull away. Replay in the background of Ellis having another wide moment and conceding a position to Daniel Hungadere for 7th place on the road at the moment, as perhaps a bit earlier than expected, Mike Rockenfeller comes into the pits. He's going to give himself another 5 or 6 minutes today on the fresh tyres to try and go on the attack. Lucas Auer picks up the lead of the race. Oh, it's not a great stop. Ooh, 13 seconds stationary.
It might change that you meet Dienst on the exit. Maybe fighting Dienst on the exit, P9 virtually.
Yeah, Marvin Dienst just about to go into turn 1. So, and he'll go past him. Too much time lost stationary there. So not a great pit stop, I'm afraid, for Mike Rockenfeller. Now he's going to go with nothing to lose, all on the attack though. But that will put Dienst into the top 10. Rocky, I reckon, will be 11th once they go past the next timing sector. So just a fight to get himself in the points, but seems unlikely to get to the podium. And it was the left rear, I think, that was sticking. Spun up again, didn't it? So that's a pause. Couldn't change the tyre. And lit up the tyres as he came out, but 11 plus seconds is not a good time, I'm afraid. So there's Lucas Auer, picked back up the lead of the race now, and looks convincing. Looks like he's on his way. A bit wide there though, for what will be his 7th DTM career victory, and his 2nd in 3 races after winning race 2 at Assen. Now, news coming through. Kelvin van der Linde is potentially going to get a 10-second total time penalty now. One of them coming through for not taking in the pits. That's the news that's just been fed through to me. Wait for it to be official. But the problem could become worse, I'm afraid, for Kelvin. So here we've got Maximilian Götz coming under more and more pressure now from Daniel Hungadere, who's got ahead of the number 3 Audi of Kelvin van der Linde. He was basically ahead of him anyway because of this penalty, and just popped it down the inside and through he went. And then Maximilian Götz and Daniel Hungadere, the 2 Mercedes, through and working together now potentially to try and catch up to Liam Lawson, who's there just flashing through shot. So Liam Lawson is 2nd, and net 2nd. He's 2nd on the road. It's side by side between the 2 Mercedes, and Daniel Hungadere straight onto the tail of Maximilian Götz. Götz will fend him off on the way into turn 7. battle for the final podium position. Götz would need the 15 points rather than being demoted off the podium and down to 12 points for sure. He's still losing, though, potentially 3 points to what will become the championship leader if it stays like this at the end of the race, Liam Lawson. Götz will be a clear third in the championship. Marco Wittmann is out of the top 10, out of the points at the moment, by a couple of positions. So they're number 4, Maximilian Götz, just a car length, less than a car length clear as they come out of turn 13 through the jinx at turn 14 and 15 into 16 and towards the final corner at 17, Sudkurve, with the number 8 Gruppe M Racing Mercedes of Daniel Gadea in search of a podium finish here. See if he can achieve it, Daniel Gadea. Last podium finish for him, a second place at the Nürburgring a few rounds ago. Lawson looks like he's controlling the pace for now. Can't beat Auer, but although he'd love the 25 points, he doesn't need to beat Lucas Auer, just needs to beat everybody that's behind him, which he's doing at the moment. And Daniel Gadea could do him a huge favour here if he can get past Maximilian Götz. Through he comes. Car 30 under investigation for crossing the white line on the pit exit. That's Liam Lawson. So looking at him now, more penalties. Blimey, let's see. And then we've got the move potentially coming here from Daniel Gadea. If he can get it out of the corner and survive on the road.
That, please. You need to increase a bit the pace because he's blocking behind you.
Not yet. Götz hangs on just about. Getting very, very, very close on the way through the hairpin was Daniel Gadea. And there, infringement of Article 15.3, confirmation of what we'd heard a few minutes ago.
We have to stay within
another
the
5 seconds.
Of Lawson. He may get a penalty. You have to push a bit more, please.
Another 5 seconds added on. Now a 10-second penalty, effectively, for Kelvin van der Linde. So it goes, I'm afraid, for the championship leader for now, from bad to worse. Well, Maximilian Götz has really done himself a huge amount of credit here, absolutely digging in. He had to do this a lot yesterday as well. Live update on the championship points, 206 for Liam Lawson, Kelvin van der Linde 192. This is based on him finishing 5th, which is probably not going to with this penalty. Götz on 180 and Wittmann still, as he was at the start of the weekend, on 165 points. Lucas Auer, 8.5 seconds clear at the head of the field. Absolutely flying along. So Article 15.3, looking at the regulations, relates to the pit stop penalty. Pit stop penalty will only be inflicted if a driver concerned has not yet taken their pit stop, as we go side by side again between Maximilian Götz and Daniel Gadea. And this time Gadea is on the inside. It's still not quite far enough alongside Maximilian Götz. Still can't quite find a way through. He's throwing the kitchen sink at this, but really just digging his heels in, building a wall and backing everybody else up now behind him. Is Maximilian Götz as we go to the final 15 minutes of the race. So 5-second penalty for the infringement with Liam Lawson is what we already knew about with the championship leader Kelvin van der Linde. Article 15.3 relates to pit stop penalties. And Part B of that says a time penalty according to the pit stop penalty may also be applied for a driver who's already completed their obligatory stop, or if an obligatory pit stop is not mandatory, the corresponding part of the event. In that case, the pit stop penalty will be replaced by a time penalty of 5 seconds plus the inflicted time penalty. So for not taking the pit stop penalty within his pit stop by staying there for another 5 seconds, that's cost Kelvin van der Linde an additional 5 seconds. So it's become a double penalty now, effectively. If he'd served the 5 seconds within the pit stop, it'd have just been 5. Now it's 10, and now he's got Philip Ellis breathing down his neck. Philip, even if he overtakes him, doesn't gain a place because he's already in front of Kelvin van der Linde. He's got 10 seconds now to add on to his time. And then the inside goes Philip Ellis, still fighting hard here is Kelvin van der Linde, still running together just ahead of Maximilian Götz and Daniel Gadea, but it's still Maximilian Götz through. Car 36, Hockenheimring under investigation for a pit stop infringement. It's ahead of Alex Albon now. This is a replay of the move from Philip Ellis down the inside of Van der Linde. Just in front, you see the two Mercedes were getting pretty close to the apex as well. So Miney's 7th for now, but under investigation. Car 4 gets a track limits warning. That's Maximilian Götz. They're all teetering on the edge of getting penalties here. But at the moment, it's only of the front runners, Kelvin Van der Linde, that has got a penalty. So Van der Linde is down to 6th on the road, add 10 seconds to his time, and that puts him only just in front of Mike Rockenfeller for 10th. So he might get a point out of this. Rockenfeller wouldn't want to take a point away from him, that's for sure. So that becomes tough for the team now. They need to try and manage this and say, Mike, don't go any quicker if you can, because if you do go a little bit quicker, you're going to be within 10 seconds of Kelvin, and you're going to potentially take that one championship point away from him. So tough, really tough to try and manage that. You have to drive half throttle on those new tyres. Perhaps we're not going to see the attacking end to the race from Mike Rockenfeller with his teammate in mind. No further action on the Liam Lawson question, so he was being investigated for crossing the white line coming out of the pits. No further action, so he's not going to get any penalty for that. Happy that he did everything properly. Breathe a sigh of relief. But Hockenheimring, 5-second time penalty for a pit stop infringement, I'm afraid. So he gets 5 seconds added on. He's got 5 added onto his time. He's right behind Kelvin Van der Linde, but Kelvin gets 10 added onto his, so he's still effectively in front of Kelvin, but loses time and places to everybody else. Mathematical nightmare at the moment. Lucas Sauer leads. Liam Lawson was absolutely on for 2nd place and 18 points, though. More than enough to move the New Zealander into the championship lead. But where is Max Götz going to finish in all of this? Liam Lawson, 18 points. Maximilian Götz, 15 at the moment, if he stays in 3rd place. Kelvin Van der Linde, maybe a point, but maybe none. So that's what's under investigation. The pit stop, well, that's caused the penalty. The pit stop for Hockenheimring, related to the way I think the wheels were taken away from the car. So misfortune for him, despite a good drive in this race so far, and a good drive in qualifying this morning. There you can see for yourself the gap from Liam Lawson and Maximilian Götz has gone way bigger over the last few laps of the race. Took 10.5 minutes to go. Kelvin Van der Linde adds 10 seconds to his time, 22.909. He's out of the top 10 now. He's on 0 points. He's behind Rocky, and he's only a fraction of a second in front of Vincent Abril. So at the moment, it looks like 0 points are coming the way of Kelvin Van der Linde. And that means that with 18 points going to Liam Lawson, Liam would have a 15-point lead in the championship. Side by side again with Daniel Hockenheimring, trying everything all the way through that corner to find a way past Maximilian Götz, but Götz is driving superbly here. This will be one of the hardest podiums he's ever achieved. He's still got 10 minutes plus 1 lap to try and defend the position. Philip Ellis getting ever closer to the tail of Hockenheim now. So 3rd, 4th, 5th in his shot. 6th on the road, Van der Linde, but with 10 seconds worth of penalties to add to his time. He's out of the points now. Miney's got 5 seconds of penalties, so Alex Albon is going to move up to 6th place, and potentially 7th for Marvin Dietz, depending on the gaps at the end of the race. Yeah, Hockenheimring at the moment is just far enough ahead of Marvin Dietz not to lose a place to him. But he does lose one to Alex Albon. So it's only costing 1 place at the moment to Hockenheimring. In fact, no places, because he loses one to Alex Albon because he gains one on Kelvin Van der Linde, so he's still on for 6th place. Top 6 finish, and Albon's on for 5th now. So it would be, as it stays like this, Auer, Lawson, Götz, Hockenheim, and Albon, your top, Ellis 5th and Albon in 6th. Would be 7th for Miney, gain one and lose one. And there is a super slow-mo of Liam Lawson on course for a 15-point lead in the championship, having started the day dead level on points, but slightly behind on catback of wins to Kelvin Van der Linde. How quickly can things change? Oh, bad to worse for Marco Wittmann. 5-second time penalty for an infringement in the pits. I mean, it's not going to cost him anything, potentially, because he's 12th. Anyway, he's out of the points. Could be 11th if he gets to within 10 seconds of Kelvin van der Linde. But anyway, he's going to get a 5-second penalty now, so it looks like it's going to be 0 points scored all weekend long from Marco Wittmann. Just at the wrong time of the season. So potentially he's going to stay at 165 points. And he's going to be 41 points behind Liam Lawson. And with only 56 points still available, so his championship hopes, although mathematically still alive, have hugely, hugely faded this weekend. Maximilian Götz is still going to be in there with a fight, though. He would be on to 180 points. He'd be 11 points behind Kelvin van der Linde if it stays like this. But still losing out to Liam Lawson. But he'd actually still be 26 points behind the championship leader, because we've got a new championship leader. Points switching around. So they're 206, 191, 180, and a static 165 for Marco Wittmann. Still 26 points with only 56 points available. Tall order for Maximilian Götz. You never know, though. It's one DNF, doesn't it? And it completely flips on its head, this. Or one non-point scoring finish, which is certainly not what Kelvin van der Linde was expecting, having started this race from pole position. Well, that is what he's staring down the barrel of. At the moment, he's effectively 22.9 seconds behind the race leader, and that now puts him behind Vincent Abril, down to 11th place. And Abril into the points. Rocky 9th, Abril 10th. Again, it all concertinas up at the hairpin. Grey skies, but it looks like it's going to remain a dry race. Just over 6.5 minutes left to go. Here are the two with penalties. 10 seconds for the Audi, 5 seconds for the Mercedes, for differing reasons. So they're in this group, but they are out of this fight realistically. And it's a three-way fight for the final spot on the podium. Max Albon trying to join the party just behind, but with a heavier car, struggling a little bit with the Ferrari now. And Liam Lawson looking strong. Not going to win the race unless something pretty dramatic happens, but it'll feel like a race win. That second place finish, the 18 points coming his way. 18 more than Kelvin van der Linde by the looks of it. Car 5, which is Vincent Abril, warning, track limits. A few of them on those warnings, got to be careful. 5-second penalty for Timo Glock for a pit stop infringement. Loads of those today. So he's the latest to join the list, but he's not in the points anyway. There's a confirmation on the screen. Maximilian Götz is looking good for third place here. 15 points, and to remain within 26 points of the championship leader, which would become Liam Lawson. Swings this way, and it's flipped around a couple of times, including on the last lap of the race yesterday, where the championship lead switched from Lawson to van der Linde. But it takes something huge now for van der Linde to go into that final round on top. Motorsport, more twists and turns than you can imagine. Just when you think you know which way it's going, it all changes again. Mr. Consistent, though, Maximilian Götz is still there. Just the one race this year where he hasn't been in the points. And on course for a potential podium finish here. Win at the Lausitz Ring, second place finishes at Monza, Zolder and the Red Bull Ring. And on the podium at the Red Bull Ring as well. Points for a podium, although he finished fourth at Assen. And it's all been a very strong championship campaign. Could have just done with 1 or 2 more wins to really put himself in the mix. But you never know, that consistency. He might just have the last laugh at the end of the season. There he is at the head of this group. Catching them up now is Alex Albon. He's within 5 seconds of Arjun Maini. He's definitely within 10 seconds of Kelvin van der Linde. So without doing a thing, he's going to gain 2 places and move from 8th up to 6th position here. Maini will lose out to Albon, but gain a place on van der Linde. And there is Liam Lawson. Just got to bring the Ferrari home now in these closing minutes. Just about 5.4 seconds down on the race leader, which is Lucas Auer, on course for a second win of the season, a second win in 3, and a 7th career victory in the DTM. And the Norris Ring to come, a circuit which he is more familiar with than plenty of other drivers around him. Warning flag for Hubert Haupt now for track limits, back in 16th place. Marco Wittmann 12th, but with 5 seconds penalties. That's but Nico Muller up to 12th place, but again, he's going to be without points, with a real dry run, real barren spell for Nico Muller. So here comes Max Gotts. Daniel Hockenheim shown his nose a couple of times. You can see struggling to get through the corner at the hairpin is Maximilian Gotts, and a 5-second penalty for track limits for Mike Rockenfeller. Now, does this affect the points for Kelvin van der Linde? 13.7 seconds adrift, make that 23.7 seconds adrift. Rocky is 19 seconds adrift, but he's 24 now with that penalty, so it puts him ahead of Rockenfeller, but still behind Vincent Abril. So, no, I think it's the answer. He's going to drop down. Abril will move up to 10th, and yeah, be 11th place instead of 12th, I think, for Kelvin van der Linde. So still not a point. I mean, even if he gets a point, it's not going to be much reward, is it? Lucas Auer through, all on his own, a bit ragged, a bit wide, coming out of turn 17 at Sudcurver is Liam Lawson. He doesn't need to push on because he can't catch the leader. He can't be caught by those behind. He's just got to get the car home now. The battle for third over the line, but with the gap just creeping out ever so slightly. It looks like Maximilian Gotts has got this one covered. Daniel Hockenheim on course for 4th, Philip Ellis on course for 5th, and Alex Albon on course for 6th, with the penalties for the 2 cars directly ahead of him. Car 9, Mike Rockenfeller, also under investigation for an unsafe release. Never seen so many penalties or question marks or warnings in a single race this season, I don't think. So, not a happy day for Mike Rockenfeller either, after the joys of the podium finish yesterday, the thrilling conclusion to race 1. Auer and Lawson on course for 1st and 2nd. Maximilian Gotts fought really hard yesterday for a podium, couldn't quite do it in the end. Dropped back to 5th, holding on to it. Stay concentrated though, nobody can catch you, but you're still got to get the car through the rest of the race. Minute and a half plus a lap to go for Liam Lawson to pick up an absolutely critical 18 points. A 2nd place finish that will feel like a race victory, and a step closer towards the championship title, but still with it going to be very much wide open. 15 points still in it, 56 still available, and you've seen how quickly he can flip around, not just today, not just this weekend, but over the course of the season. 1 minute Liam Lawson is 5th in the championship, the next minute he has a few good runs, great races, great wins, and he's back up there into the championship lead. Then something goes slightly adrift and he drops back, and he gets back into 1st. He's yo-yoed all season long. He keeps being there or thereabouts, Liam Lawson. Now the Ferrari goes through. And of course, going to take a step closer to the Teams Championship as well. They won't mathematically wrap it up, but they're going to outscore Sportsline with 18 points coming for Liam Lawson, and also Alex Albon in 5th place, about to pick up another 10 points on top of that. So their confirmation of how it stands, because Kelvin van der Linde is going to pick up 0 points unless somebody ahead of him drops out or more penalties are applied. Maximilian Gotts moving within 11 points of him and staying within 26 points of the championship lead. Going into the final weekend, just got to be careful here though. Daniel Hockenheim gets very, very close again through the apex of the corner, but the wider line seems to work for Max, and it keeps the number 4 car just ahead. That looks like a slow Lamborghini of Esme Hawkey. Let's see, that had a moment or got a problem, and has had a moment spinning out on the curbs there on the exit to the turn. Hairy moment for Hubert Haupt, who's right behind her in 16th place, and she's got back going again. There's Lucas Auer then. Well, he'll feel like he could have at least got a podium yesterday. I know he had weight on the car, but he's been super quick this weekend, so he'll be happy to see the checkered flag and the race victory. Not really worried about the 25 points that comes with it. It's all about the checkered flag and the race victory, and he's got 4.6 kilometres now to bring it home. So too, Liam Lawson starts the final lap of the race in 2nd place. Slightly nervous, tentative final lap, final run into the hairpin it will be for Maximilian Gotts. He's got to try and hang on to these 15 points if he can. He's done such a good job. He's just got to see it home now. He cannot afford to make one mistake. He's going to be thinking and thinking and thinking about the approach to that hairpin at Spitskara coming up, which it is soon, because the top 2 are making their way through Parabolica down towards that part of the course now for the final time in the race, round 14 of the championship. Lucas Auer on strong form here in the closing weekends of the season. certainly got to grips with these cars. Here we go then, Maximilian Götz in towards the hairpin for the final time in the race. Kelvin van der Linde has got Hockenheimring breathing down his neck. Both got penalties. Götz a bit deep into the corner, a bit wide, but he's done this before. He keeps the power down, gets on the curves. Daniel Hockenheim on the inside, can't get there. He's more worried about Philippe Ellis drawing alongside him now. So Ellis going for 4th place here. On Daniel Hockenheim on the final lap of the race. Did he get through or not? He might have actually. Hockenheim looks like he slowed coming out of the corner, and Philippe Ellis has got past him. So great day it will be for Team Windward. They're going to get the win, and Philippe Ellis is going to get a 4th place finish. It won't keep him in the championship fight, but it will be a good reward from 11th on the grid. Maximilian Götz, though, has done it, it seems. 3rd place for him, keeps himself very much in the fight, moves up to 3rd in the championship, but it's a victory for Lucas Auer here at Hockenheim, and a great drive to take the checkered flag.
Yes, baby! Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good job, mate. Very good race, very good race. P2, we are going as leader to Norris Ring.
We heard Lucas Auer on the radio, and you heard the engineer for Liam Lawson. He's going to be the leader going into the Norris Ring because he comes home in 2nd place. Tight battle just behind, crossing the line outside of the points again for, I'm afraid, Nico Muller. He comes home in 13th place, but Lucas Auer the winner.
How can 25 kilos make such a massive difference in our car and start to win races with that? I don't get it.
Oh, very disappointed, Kelvin van der Linde. How can the weight make that much difference? But it's also the penalties that have really cost him, the first of which came as a result of the contact that he had early doors with his championship rival, Liam Lawson. So Lucas Auer, when he's got a point, he's got 1 point, Kelvin van der Linde. The timing screen updates itself because of that penalty for Rocky by 2.9 seconds. He's got 10th place. So if he wins the championship by a point, you know where it came. 1 point for Kelvin van der Linde. So he's going to be 14, not 15 behind going into the final weekend of the season with 56 points still available. 3 for each pole, 25 for each race. Lucas Auer, though, the winner here. 6.4 seconds clear of Liam Lawson in 2nd. Maximilian Götz with a hard-fought 3rd place. Philippe Ellis on the last lap of the race getting ahead of Daniel Hockenheim for 4th. The Spaniard in 5th. Alex Albon promoted to 6th because of the penalties for Kelvin van der Linde and for Hockenheimring. So Marvin Dienst got close enough to Hockenheimring to gain a place as well late on. And he gets 7th place and picks up points in his first race weekend of DTM. He does score points as well. He's not a guest driver, he's a replacement driver. So Dienst does get the points. Miney in 8th place, Abrol in 9th, van der Linde in 10th place. Mike Rockenfeller with that penalty, well, doing his teammate a favour in the end because he gives him 1 point, so helped him out again in a sense this weekend on day 2. Van der Linde 1 point though, 10th place from having started the race on pole position, and you can understand why he's disappointed, but Liam Lawson will be overjoyed. He always want to win the race, but there are bigger things at stake here, and championship points are what count more. There you go, confirmation of the provisional points with just 1 race event to go. 206 points for Liam Lawson, 192, 1 point scored today, so 14 behind for Kelvin van der Linde. Maximilian Götz on 180 points, 26 points adrift of the championship leader, and not a single point scored this weekend, I'm afraid, for Marco Wittmann, who stays on 165 points and now 4th. There is Lucas Auer. Could you have a bigger contrast to the emotions of a driver than we had between Saturday and Sunday? It was all anger and fire and disappointment yesterday, and understandably so, with them being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and very unfortunate to be taken out of contention so early in the race from what was a good position and a good start to the race initially. But now it's all joy. And that's why we do it. That's why we get involved in motorsport. Because you have these terrible lows, but they really do make the highs even more enjoyable. There you go. Liam Lawson, a happy, happy man. Claps his hands, heads towards the team, and a disconsolate Kelvin van der Linde walks away. And again, could you have a bigger contrast to how he was yesterday, how he was in qualifying, overjoyed, punching the air, screaming inside the car when he got pole position, moving into the championship lead. As soon as it picks you up, though, motorsport could kick you in the teeth, can't it, and vice versa. So it swings back now to Liam Lawson. They're the two that will have the big advantage, but they will still have to contend with Maximilian Götz and, to a point, with Marco Wittmann. But he's going to be, got 41 points adrift, Marco now, 56 available. He needs a fantastic weekend, and for the other three to have near disasters, to be honest. So it's a slim shot now for a hugely disappointing weekend for Volkenhorst Motorsport. Just about summed up with that 5-second penalty they picked up as well for the pit stop infringement. Highs and lows for Lucas Auer. Low yesterday, super high today. Liam Lawson, though, doesn't have the highs and lows at the moment. He's frustrated at the end of the race yesterday, but, you know, keeps getting the results, the podiums, the points, and he hasn't been out of the top 4 now for 6 races since that DNF, that collision with van der Linde and Rockenfeller in race 2 at the Nürburgring. He's been in the top 4 in every single race and on the podium in 5 of the last 6 races. He has put together quite a run at exactly the right time of the season, but, and it's a big but, Norris Ring to come, street circuit. Nobody knows quite who is going to be competitive there. Lots of the drivers don't know the circuit. Lots of the drivers have never driven the circuit. In fact, all of them have never driven the circuit in these cars. The walls await, more dramas, more thrills and spills surely await. But for now, Liam Lawson can enjoy what's been a very successful weekend here, the penultimate weekend of the season at Hockenheim. Drivers getting ready then for the podium presentations. Our top 3 drivers and our winning team. There's Bert Schneider, 5-time DTM champion in the background there. He's given some driver coaching to Philip Ellis, who's had a really good run from 11th, but really hard-fought 3rd place finish for Maximilian Götz. Really earned that, didn't he? 3rd place and the 15 points that come with it. And for Liam Lawson, it's 2nd place, and it's a big smile. He knows what it means. He's edging towards the championship title, but he's not there yet. And the winning team, Team Windward, they're going to be represented on the podium by Mauricio Morena and the race engineers. First time with some Mauricio this weekend. Team Windward doing a very, very good job in the championship this year. 3rd in the points. But the winner and the big cheer and all the smiles go to Lucas Auer. 2 weekends, 2 wins. He's on a great run of form. Unlucky yesterday, but the speed, the car, it's all clicking now. And Lucas Auer enjoys his 2nd win of the season, his 7th career victory in the DTM. And that means we'll now get to listen to the Austrian national anthem.
The
Austrian national anthem plays for your race winner, Lucas Auer. Now it's time for the trophy presentations. Elena Reusch is a DTM fan and gets the opportunity to present the 3rd place trophy to a very happy Maximilian Götz. He's chuffed with that. Best he could have achieved, I think, in the race. And he'll relish that. And Markus Zeitler, who's the mayor of Hockenheim, our hosts for the weekend, presents the 2nd place trophy to Liam Lawson. 3 different nationalities on the podium as well, the Austrian, the New Zealander and the German. The winning team trophy is going to be presented by Bert Schneider, 5-time DTM champion, dozen wins here at Hockenheim. He's got the best winning record in DTM at this circuit. And Bert Schneider takes the trophy to Maurizio Morena, the engineer for Team Winwood. Don't give it me, says Lucas, it's the team trophy. Oh, well, I'll have it anyway. So we slightly out of turn, get the trophy for Lucas Auer, and then we should still get the trophy for Maurizio Morena. There we go. Oh, you can't trust the racing drivers to do anything properly, can you? There you go. Doesn't matter. Did it the other way around than he was meant to. But what matters is that they got the trophy, they got the win for the team, they got the win for the driver. And Lucas Auer, although he can't win the championship, he's still got a good chance of moving up the points table over these last couple of rounds. He keeps putting the points scores in. Well, he's not hoisted aloft like he was. I tell you what, though, well, he's quick to the champagne, isn't he? It was like a 100-metre sprinter start that was to get the champagne open. He's absolutely smashed that. Lucas Auer with the customary broad grin on his face. One of the most likeable chaps in the DTM. Popular character and a popular race win. Trouble is, if you go first with the champagne, Lucas, you run out earlier, and then they all get you back afterwards. Absolutely soaked Liam Lawson as well. We will not care one jot. So all smiles down on the podium. Super slow-mos of our top three. Third place then in the race going to Maximilian Gotz, who picks up what's his 6th podium finish of an excellent season by a long stretch. His best so far in the DTM. So Max Gotz coming home in 3rd place. And 2nd place goes to Liam Lawson. What a debut, come what may, what a debut season that has been for him in DTM and in tin top racing. Lucas Auer, with the experience still, with plenty of youth on his side though, picks up his 7th win in DTM and takes to the top step of the podium here at Hockenheim Race 2, round 14 of the 16-round championship. 2 huge races coming up next weekend and 2 huge qualifying sessions as well at the Norris Ring. The manufacturer standings, Mercedes are there and clear, 507 points. They are provisional champions for the manufacturers, ahead of Ferrari on 336 and Audi on 325. Close fight for 2nd and 3rd. Right, let's hear then from our drivers and from Verena.
Here's the man who's still drying out the champagne. He's got it in his ear and everywhere, but you were excited about that, enjoying the champagne spray. But congratulations from P3 to P2, and now you extended your lead by 14 points, so you've got to be thrilled about that.
Yeah, very happy, really, with the way today's race went. The start was super sketchy. Calvin was very aggressive at the start. I guess I don't think he would have done it on purpose, but I got a massive hit from behind and went wide. But the pace after the pit stop was really good. I was worried that we'd stop too early because, you know, yesterday we had a lot of degradation, but the car was so fast. And in the end, we started to catch Lucky at the end, but the gap was just too big. So happy with the points for today.
Absolutely. And we only have 1 more race weekend to go, so 2 more races to go. And I guess, can you already kind of smell the title? Is it kind of near yet, or is every single race going to be just as tough?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's still very, very close. You saw how quickly things can change. Calvin came from... Well, he was nearly 15 points behind yesterday and he was leading this morning. So it changes very quickly with the success ballast. Now we go into Norris Ring with a slight disadvantage, and he will have no weight in the car. So it's going to be like this all the way to the end, I think. We just got to try and stay out of trouble and score as many points.
Absolutely. You got to keep having very strong nerves, that's for sure. I hope you get the champagne out of your ear.
Yeah, it's still in there. Thank you.
Well, Liam, thank you so much. And we've got Lukey right here, the man who did it again. Congratulations. You did say just before the race, you said you're going for victory, and you certainly did. Congratulations. How excited are you?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was just a great race. I could pass Kelvin straight away, which was very important. And after I could really manage well, and it was just a dream race.
And also, Mercedes is a manufacturer champion. Did you know that?
No, not yet, but huge congrats. And I really think we deserved that.
Absolutely. And it was a jungle out there today. So many penalties and everything, but I guess you didn't even notice because you were all the way in the front. So for you, it was a pretty calm race, right?
Yes, perfect. Exactly how I wanted. And no, I think it was a great show for the fans also. And next week, Norris Ring.
It's going to be super exciting. Thank you so much, and enjoy the moment.
Cheers.
Second race for Lucas Auer, and we're going to grab Maxi Götz in just a second as soon as he's done. So for now, back to you.
Thanks, Farina. Frown turned upside down for Lucas Auer. Just looking at the timing screen as well, Mike Rockenfeller did a very slow final lap of the race to make sure he backed off enough to be more than 10 seconds behind Kelvin van der Linde. So a very slow final lap and a half for Mike Rockenfeller, which was what ultimately promoted Kelvin to get that single championship point. So Mike doing all he could to help his teammate there. And, well, you never know, 1 point might just make the difference at the end of the season. They all count. So that was the reason why, despite the 10 seconds, Kelvin still managed to scrape a point out of the race. Right then, back to Farina down in the pit lane.
So here's Maxi Goetz, the man who managed from P7 to P3. It was a complete jungle out there. It was a crazy race. You did mention it before. You were kind of expecting it. So a P3 almost has to feel like victory for you.
Of course. I think this was one of the hardest races I ever had. It was massive fighting against Kelvin, overtaking him on the outlap of his pit stop. So in the end, it was this was the key, to be in front of him and then holding him behind. This was quite tough, to be honest. But in the end, my Mercedes teammates are capable to fight against him as well and overtook him. So in the end, it was a good team effort today. And in the end, P3, we couldn't expect this, but we hoped for, but we couldn't expect this. But I'm quite happy, you know, from 7 to 3, it's always a great feeling.
Mercedes is also Mercedes also got the manufacturer title, so that's fantastic news also. And I guess now with only 2 races more to go, we have the finale next week. That's back to back. That's going to be pretty tough too, right?
Absolutely. So we are now fully focusing already for Nürburgring. Of course, we want to enjoy the day a bit because it was a tough one, and I think a great show for the fans out there. Good battling, good fights, good racing. So we saw good 2 races in Hockenheim, and now focusing for next week. I think this is a new land, a fantasy land for all of us. I think nobody knows what to expect. It's going to be, as you said, a wild jungle again with big fights, and hopefully we have nice end for us.
It's absolutely going to be exciting, and you're the 3rd in the championship, and I mean you've got 180 points, so it means you're 26 points behind Liam, and honestly from here anything is still possible. So I mean you're still going for full attack and hoping also for the championship
title. Absolutely.
title.
I mean Liam was very consistent, and he got feels like every race he was on the podium. I was now 6 times on the podium, which is not a bad number, but he was better. So in the end, maybe I don't wish it, but in the end, maybe he has also some bad luck in one of the races in Nürburgring, and I know this track very well. He doesn't know, and I know from the past a lot of things can happen there. So let's see, and we keep pushing as much as we can, and we are not giving up.
I'm sure. Thank you so much, Maxi. And that was it from here, from the Hockenheimring, and we're totally excited for the finale at the Nürburgring next weekend. So make sure to join us there. We're looking very much forward to that, and now here are the highlights, and we'll see you next weekend. Bye-bye.